I'm just having flashbacks to, I've had that expression at the start of other episodes. It's just because I get excited because of all the hotties that are joining. All two of you. I'm just kidding. But like, TBH. Listen up. Speaking of two hotties. Okay. I'm really excited because when it feels like I'm talking to you guys, anyone that tunes in, it's just more fun. I mean, I guess I always feel that way, but when it's literally a conversation, you know, back and forth. Okay, today we're going to talk about something amazing. So I asked on my IG, what should the next episode be about? And two hotties said something very similar, which was funny because the first one I was like, oh, guaranteed we have to make an episode on that, which was Hottie 1. I just picture those shirts like thing 1 and thing 2. Hottie 1, Hottie 2. Okay. The balance between, so good. The balance between creating out of love, but wanting to make it your career. Something I've thought about a lot. And another, expound on Dear Creatives, God's plan, episode themes, work, passion, purpose, and how to balance those. It just warms my heart knowing that people tune in. So, we live in a world, I used to say unfortunately before saying this, but now, well, I feel like I've always felt this way, but we live in a world where we need to pay to live, right? But I've had this thought for a long time that I feel like that was meant to push us and show us what we're really made of. You know, and I think your current circumstances they can tell you about how you see yourself. And I do think part of that's not up to us because divine timing. And I don't think we're supposed to know how the story ends. And part of me feels that this whole money game, part of me feels that if you're living for you and not someone else, it's so funny because in a way I see it as discipline. I see it as, because it's like, what else would push you? It's like the perfect thing that you can't get around. Perhaps. And it's like, what's it going to be? Are you going to believe in yourself? Or are you going to play victim? And I think it's clear that things are real messed up here. But I also believe that was written. Monetizing your craft. I think about this a lot. I've thought about this a lot. I think about it a lot. Because I have done this. And I'm doing it. I'm fully self-employed. And I haven't reached like a goal. Even though this goal, this end destination, it's an illusion, right? Because you can always have new ones. They'll come up even when you think you've gotten everything that you wanted. Oh no, don't be fooled. Question, what else would you want to do? What else would you want to spend your precious time on? Building for someone else or building for you? I would argue that most of us would say building for us, even if that does fall under, even if you are working for someone else and you're still doing something that you're passionate about, that's still very possible and that's still beautiful. And if that is you have to go that way or else you're not going to be living for you. You know, one's not better than the other. What's wrong is when you are not doing you. Wrong. And when you put it like that, what else would you want to do? Okay, do you want to sit here and see how you can access flow and see how you can take the pressure off and create that reality and still build for you and still live for you versus doing something that you despise, doing something that makes you feel like a slave. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. No, but when you think about creating out of love versus making it your career, there's so many factors. Everyone's path is so different. You know, if you are relying on this for your income, because here's the thing, you're not always going to feel super inspired. You're not always going to feel super motivated. And if you are relying on this for your well-being and to survive, it's going to come to a point where it feels forced at times and not authentic and not necessarily creating out of love, but maybe creating out of fear or creating because you have to. And that never feels good. And you're putting that out and you're sharing that and it doesn't feel aligned. But you have to, right? Because we got to pay to live and it's a big thing. But oh man, when you turn that into gold, when you transform that, when you can see that as, okay, let me, and this is what I'm getting to, let me see how really, really ask yourself how you can make this work for you, how you can make this gold, because that is always an option, always. And so you can see this as daunting. You can see it as a hassle, a huge mountain, or you can just let that go. Use the challenge. Use the challenge to make you better. Use the challenge to make you better, hottie. That's a whole ass episode. I'm hype. Literally, use it to make your craft better. Use it to make you shine. Practice makes possible. Practice makes possible. And I think it takes effort to be effortless, in a sense. It's as if we need to put in effort to be effortless. And maybe you don't see it as that. Maybe you just see it as working on your craft and putting in the reps. Because I think it's clear that you got to do the work, right? And to create good art, subjective, authentic art that speaks to you, art that feels good to you, you got to get good at that. That doesn't happen overnight. It can. It sure can. Because I think if you know how to tap into the moment, and if you know how to tap into flow like that, because like I always say, you can tap in at any moment. You can access flow in any moment. And if you can't, you're blocking that. You have a block up. You are choosing that. You have that. You're holding that wall up. And all you have to do is woo, and watch everything come to you. You can get good at that. You can get faster at that. I know that. I've done it. And so when you feel pressured, say it becomes your job, or you want to be consistent because you're building your business, your craft, you're pursuing this, it's your career. Use that pressure. Use that pressure to make you a diamond. And maybe that's what it's for. This road looks different for everyone. And I think everyone should really sit with that, because if you think that this needs to be your only thing and that's really not your path, you're gonna find misery that way. To go deeper into that, it's interesting. Monetizing your craft is not for everyone because there's pressure there. I think everyone can reach this, but it doesn't always look like this with everyone. Some people seem to be just overflowing constantly, like 25/8 with their art, right? And maybe it seems super just natural and effortless for that to be their one and only thing. And for them to have anything else in their life would not be their path. And that's perfect for them. And maybe there are other people who say you're making movies, right? You're writing and directing. Well, you got to call the actors out. Different site locations, different crew, cast, everything. There's a lot of planning and prep that goes into that. And that doesn't happen overnight. And so, not that these ideas can't pour out of you, but to get the end result to that, it takes longer. And you may need other things that allows you to make a living that isn't that. And it's not that that's wrong. It's that that is aligned with you and that's beautiful for you. And there's pros and cons to both sides, right? Because you could see that as less pressure. You can see that as not forcing because again, we're not going to feel super inspired or motivated 24/7. So one's not better than the other, period. What's not better for you is you not living for you and thinking that this path looks so beautiful and is everything. Because the beautiful path and the path that looks like everything is the path that's aligned with you. And if you do want it to be your one and only thing, that doesn't mean that you have more pressure on you. You can take that off. You can relieve yourself of that, And I think the more you do, the more you can reach that state. And I think a big part of this balance comes down to understanding you, because balance is going to look different to everyone. Some people, balance looks like, their work is their play and that's 25/8. And it doesn't have to be like you're this person or you're not, or you're this type of person. It's maybe it looks different in every chapter. And I don't think we're supposed to know how the story goes and how the story ends because there are things that are meant to be a surprise. For example, skating came my way a few years ago, 4 years ago now, and took over my life a little bit, and now is a huge part of my life. Huge part. I don't even that came later, a little bit later in my life, not when I was super young. We all skated when we were super young, a lot of us, right? Like kids, but if you see me skate, I skate now. So sorry about the music. We're about to end the episode if you hear that in the background, but what does balance look like to you? Maybe at this point in your life, it's a hustle. And it's constant, nonstop. Maybe in the next chapter, it's not like that so much. And you have to honor that. And you have to respect that. And you got to know that. I was having a conversation the other day with someone. And they were talking about how just we have a choice every day, this and that. And then we got into flow. And I was like, it's funny because we have a choice, right? But the flow isn't always what we chose. Is that a lyric? So surrendering to that, leaning into that. That's how you find flow. That is flow, but then that's how you access the unknown. And we continue with the rhymes. Don't rush this process, but also don't F around because you only have so much time. Like I say, life's short. Don't take the gift for granted, but life is long. And you got time to be here and now with all of this. Feel both, accept both, take both, use both. Use both for you, for your fuel. Like, what else is going to be your fuel? What else is your fuel? What are you going to pick to use as your fuel? What seems like, oh, wow. What seems like an endless supply of fuel? Let me use this fear and these hardships, this struggle, there's plenty of that, right? Use it. Use it. Thanks for tuning in, Hottie. Do you. Life is a gift. Every day. Every day. Every moment.